Sugar Cyanide for House of Cyanide, and I wanted to do a quick update. I haven't been doing a lot of videos for this channel as of late. I do apologize for that. The main reason is I am kind of experiencing psychic burnout, which with someone who's been doing this for as long as I have, I should know better. At the same time, considering how much I have grown this last year and how much internal and external spiritual work I have done, it's okay that I'm kind of taking some time to concentrate on the mundane and focus on the here and now and just taking care of the physical me now that the emotional, spiritual me is finally in the right place. So I haven't been doing any tarot readings. In fact, I've only done a small handful in the last couple of months, just because, and although my cards are screaming at me, I'll be honest, my tarot cards are screaming at me. They're mad at me because they were used to me working with them every day, all day long, and they are mad at me. But I just, I needed some time to focus on the here and now. So I apologize that I don't have as many videos up on this channel as I do on my other channel. My energy just isn't really there at the moment. So I am going to finish the Feast of Thanks videos. Those are so huge. I edited them and then it took me like 3 days to edit. And then my computer kept crashing, and then when I finally uploaded the video, YouTube only uploaded the first 5 minutes, and it was like a 20-minute video. So I was like hella pissed. So I had to step away from those videos because I had to take a break from working on them. So I do apologize for that, and I will get them finished. I hope that you still find them interesting even though they're several months late now. But I did want to talk about psychic burnout. Psychic burnout, I think, is a normal phenomena in the occult witchcraft community. And I don't think it's something that should be ashamed of. For those of you that do not know, psychic burnout is when you get really, really, really into studying the occult and practicing, and you're doing something every day, and it's what you eat, sleep, and breathe all day long. And then eventually you just get sick of it. You just get burnt out and dealing with it, talking about it, reading about it, and I think that that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's actually the personality that I have. I'm a very intense individual, so I'll get into something and I'll get into something really, really huge and I'll get really deep into it, and then I'll be like, and enough, and I need to step away now. And I've tried to hold myself back in the past so that I don't get that intense, but it never works. And I'm just fighting myself when I do that. It's just not my personality. So I do not believe that psychic burnout is a bad thing. The only time psychic burnout is a bad thing is if you don't go back. If you get really into it and then you burn yourself out and then you never go back. And in my opinion, that's not really psychic burnout. That's more like, I'm going to use a really big word and I might even mispronunciate it, but it's dilettantism. Which is, you get into something, you get really excited about it, you burn yourself out, you move on to the next thing, and you never stick with anything. So I don't think that psychic burnout is a bad thing as long as you go back. Sometimes people need a break. This was a really, 2012 was an intense year for me. I did tons of spiritual work for myself and for others. I was doing, my third eye was blown open for almost the whole year. And I'm kind of liking having that door closed at the moment. It's kind of nice not having to always walk in both worlds. It's kind of nice being able to function in the physical world without having to be always kind of lost in a daydream, which is kind of how 2012 was for me. I actually lost a lot of time in 2012 because I spent, and what I meant by time is there's whole periods of weeks or months or where I just was so into the spiritual world that the mundane world just flew past me and I just wasn't there. Like I literally lost time. Now, you know, I live with my fiance and I have friends that check on me and such like that. So it wasn't like I was completely gone for 6 weeks at a time and they were looking for me or anything like that, you know. But I would have days where I just wasn't all there and they tried to have a conversation with me and I was too busy playing in the other realms or the other world or, you know, whatever terminology you want to use for the other. I was not here physically in this world, and I lost a lot of friendships for that. Not really lost, but drifted away from a lot of people because of that. Because it takes two people to maintain a relationship, and I was not there. I was just not there. Fortunately, my fiance Rocky is completely understanding, and he's been through this with me before. I do have times where, you know, I'm kind of just a robot walking and talking in my body and my mind is elsewhere. And it's kind of nice not to be there. It's kind of nice to be able to return messages in a prompt manner and be on time to business engagements and work in this mundane world without having that other self trailing off in the ether somewhere. So I know it's kind of like a long rambly video, but anywho, I had psychic burnout. I kind of still do, like, to the point I'm not even watching witchy videos. I'm not reading any of the books at the moment. I'm not doing any studying. I'm, like, at the moment, I'm really just focusing on the mundane. Like, I'm not even thinking about the other realm at the moment and magic, and my altar's gone quiet, which, considering how hot a furnace and how it was vibrating with energy most of the year, you know, all of that energy has left my altar because I'm not maintaining it. Now, that can be a very bad thing if that happens. However, my goddess understands, and although I am not giving her daily offerings, I'm not lighting her candle every day, not burning incense for her every day, she knows in my heart I'm still open to her, I'm still listening to her. She also understands that it's time that I spent some time in the physical world. I almost swing, and the only way I can explain this is kind of like Persephone, and, you know, like Persephone and Demeter. I swing hardcore. So January through, I want to say July-ish, I'm pretty much focused on the mundane. I'm pretty much focused on my career, my day-to-day life, cooking and all that. And I still do, you know, I still do the kitchen witchery stuff, or, you know, every moment is magical, and when I cook, I put magical energy into it and all of that. I still do all of that. That's just, for me, that's breathing. That's so natural to me. But from January to May, and I've been practicing and have experienced this long enough that I've noticed this is a cycle for me. That's when I really focus on the mundane world. That's when I really focus on my physical around me. And then April, May is when I start getting more spiritual again. And then over the summer, I'm kind of at 50-50, where I'm focused on the material world, but I'm also got some spiritual work going on. And that's probably the time when I have probably the best, like, normal balance, or what someone would consider balance, is when I'm really working on both. And then as we slip into fall, everything mundane seems to fade away, and I am just lost to the song of Samhain. And I'm usually lost until mid-December. And then when I come out of that, then it's time for me to focus on the mundane, because while I'm lost to the song of Samhain, all of the normal day-to-day things aren't necessarily getting taken care of. The house isn't getting cleaned, you know, I'm not necessarily cooking, and so now it's time for me to kick back up and take care of those mundane things that got neglected. So this is a cycle that I am in and that I have found, and I used to fight it and try to maintain more of a balanced spiritual practice instead of being so intensely one direction or the other. But it never worked for me. I tried and I tried, and it never felt right. It never worked for me. And no matter how much I tried to prevent the cycle, I always fell back into it. So I'm not gonna fight myself anymore. This is the year I've learned in 2012 just to accept myself for who I am and what I am, and if that's my spiritual cycle that I go through every year, then that's my spiritual cycle, and I'm not gonna fight myself for it anymore. I'm aware of it, I've been aware of it, and instead of fighting myself on trying to force myself to be spiritual when I'm not feeling it, or to be mundane when my head is in the other realm, now that I'm aware of it and I'm not fighting myself on this, I can plan ahead for it, and I can schedule things around that, and I can tell, you know, Rocky knows she's gonna be out of her brain for 3 months, so I guess that's my time to pick up on, you know, on the things that I'm not necessarily doing, you know, or to accept the fact that the house is gonna be messy for those 3 months because I'm off in the other realm looking at all the shinies. So I guess what I'm trying to say is this is what I've discovered about myself. This is what I've accepted about myself. And I believe for me personally, 2013 is going to be all about acceptance. I've reached the age that I am learning to change the things that I can and accept the things that I cannot. And the changing thing I was all gung-ho for. It's the acceptance of the things that you can't change. That's a difficult one, especially when it's your flaws and you just have to accept it. That's part of who you are, and do what you can. Embrace it. Work with it instead of working against it. So this is my little ramble about that, because this is definitely a ramble. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please comment down below, subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook or at Twitter at Sugar Cyanide, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Bye-bye.